We are Georgia and David. We quit our jobs to travel full-time around Mexico with our 14-year-old Sheltie Poo Meep. Our goal is to take a picture with her in front of 100 Pueblo signs.
So today is our first full day in San Luis Potosi. We arrived yesterday afternoon and we started the day with some really good food. David got a ribeye, I got ranchera, and we've just kind of been wandering around the central area. We saw one of these trolleys and the guy asked if we wanted to do another one of these. Yeah. And we decided that this is kind of a good way to get the layout of the city. It was 90 pesos per person, and he said it's gonna take off in about 5 minutes.
And luckily we have sunscreen on.
Yes.
We're really glad we did this trolley tour here because SLP is more spread out than other places we have visited. And wow, do they have a ton of churches. We're walking about 2.8 kilometers from our Airbnb to the center of San Luis Potosi. We have Meep in tow. I have the backpack just in case she gets tuckered out, which she probably will. So we chose this Airbnb because it's a little nicer than the ones that were closer to Centro, and we'll show you that at the end of the video.
And the reason that we are going to Centro tonight is to eat at a restaurant that we actually stopped at the other day after we did the little trolley tour. We got a cocktail and dessert, and we saw that there were a couple other tables that ordered the exact same thing, and it was very interesting, and it's something that we have not had the opportunity to try in all of our travels. So we'll show you that in a minute.
So part of that head was the brain. I've never eaten brain before. This is the half of it. I'm just gonna go for it. Not bad. Reminds me of a pate or something.
We just got back to our Airbnb. We took a cab back, and cabs are less than 50 pesos to go the 2.8 kilometers to get back home. So less than $2.50. Meep enjoyed walking around the town at night. We got some really good pictures of some of the buildings and churches.
She really liked growling at the waiter.
Yes. The head was really good. The cheeks were super delicious. The skin was very crispy. The ears were like little chicharrones. I wasn't a fan of the brain. David said it was fine. It was like pate. To me, it had like a kind of minerally, maybe even slightly fishy taste. I didn't like it. The tongue was really good though. The eyes were a little bit.
It was normal, kind of like a normal piece of fat.
Yeah, it was pure fat. There was a little bit of a aftertaste to them, but they were fine. But the cheeks and the skin and the ears and the tongue were all super, super delicious. and I think it's worth it to get again. We probably will get it again before we leave. It seems like that was maybe one of the only restaurants that would be dog friendly, because a lot of the restaurants have rooftops, but they don't have patio seating. So we may have to search a little further to find some more places that we can take Meep, but she definitely enjoyed that one very much. So we just took our 2.8 kilometer walk into town, and we are now sitting in a little cafe. We're getting a couple of juices and a couple of waters before we start our little tour of all of the churches. We are going to try to hit them all today. It is a Monday, and it tends to be one of the better days to go to church because there tends to be less services going on, because there's a lot of church services here. Most days it seems like something's going on inside. So hopefully we'll get to enter most of them.
After fueling up, we were off to see all the churches we saw during our tram tour.
So today we are not having the best of luck. Out of the past 3 churches, we were only able to enter 1. So we're gonna keep going and keep our fingers crossed. This one was the one I really wanted to go into, so hopefully it'll be open a different day and we'll get a chance to go in it.
We continued on through the Plaza del Carmen to find the next church. This yellow building takes up an entire city block.
Today is Thursday, and today we are going to one of the most recommended restaurants in all of SLP, and after that we'll be checking out an art museum. I got a Lechero Frio, which is basically like an iced latte, and David got a mochaccino. Our food has arrived. I got some egg tacos with bean sauce and some mole enchiladas stuffed with beef. And David has got 2 different types of sopes with some beans. So we just finished up our breakfast and it was delicious. I can see why it is the most recommended restaurant in San Luis Potosi.
Definitely the best breakfast we've had in Mexico, I think.
Yeah, and my egg tacos with the bean sauce was absolutely the winner, and I think that I'm gonna go back to have it one more time. At least one more time before we go.
On our way to the museum, we saw some cool murals and decided to retry a nearby church we were not able to enter during our church tour a few days before. Well, we've completed about 3 miles of walking today and ended up at Basilica de Nuestra Senora de Guadalupe. Checked out the church inside. Kind of interesting, the churches here have boats, kind of like chandeliers at the end of the
No,
road.
we've seen, this is the second time we've seen this. It's a big crystal, like old-fashioned ship, and as opposed to the normal like chandelier that we've seen at so many other churches. The other thing about this church is if you look behind us here, you can see that there are like these marble kind of faux candles lining the pathway up to the church. So this one was particularly interesting and definitely worth a little walk out of the way. The other thing is very close to here is a modern sculpture museum. So we're getting ready to go check that out. We just finished touring the Lenora Carrington Museum. She was a surrealist sculptor and painter who was born in England and spent some time in the US before moving to Mexico. It was really, really cool. As you may have heard us say before, we're not super artsy people, but her sculptures were really unique and interesting. So we enjoyed that. Now we are just in the art center for San Luis Potosi, and it used to be a prison, so the architecture and the layout is really interesting.
About a kilometer down from the Lenora Carrington Museum is the Caja de Agua, or box of water.
It's where a lot of the town used to get their water. It has multiple fountainheads around it, and they don't know exactly when it was built or the name of the guy that paid to build it, because one of his rivals actually took the plaque off of the Caja de Agua.
We were so excited to find a bar with such an extensive bourbon list. However, once we got there, we found that they didn't have a single one.
Meep, where are you going?
We're going.
You gonna go? You going to eat?
Restaurante. See? Come here, you gotta put it on.
This evening, we are on our way to Queen Mama's, which is an Italian restaurant that's supposedly dog-friendly. It's around the Jardín de Tequis, So it's only about 1.7 kilometers from our Airbnb. Are you excited for pizza? So we just walked downtown and got our little family picture with the San Luis Potosi sign. And if you can see those clouds behind us, they do not look great, but we are going to get dinner. There is a restaurant, the same restaurant we went to the other night where we ate the Cabeza de Lechon, and we're going to try to go back there and get a table under the archway. So in case it does start raining, we will be covered.
And there's a lot of taxis that come by there too.
Yeah, so we can just get a cab back home. Because Meep was all excited to go to dinner, and we can't let her down.
Yet again, La Historica was absolutely delicious.
Stay tuned next week for part 2, where we show you our Airbnb, give you our full expenses, and our top recommendations. As always, if you liked this video or found it helpful, please like and subscribe, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.